Okay, hey guys. So I thought this would be fun for me to do a Instagram um, Cross spread, but unfortunately the voice vocal track didn't record. So now I'm doing a voiceover for it, and so I hope you guys like this. I get asked a lot on Instagram, not a lot, I guess, but I get asked often when I post about the way I read cards and stuff. So the first thing I always do is I separate a deck into three piles. And this is kind of like a respect thing for the cards. And I basically to find out what stories the cards want to lay out for me with this reading. So what I have is a Princess of Cups, right? So a water card, subconscious and emotions and astral energies. And then I have two pentacles. Now, as a Virgo, I tend to read the Pentacle cards the most when I have the option of reading between the three. But since it's right after the new year, and I obviously did a career reading for myself only a month back, I decided to this time to switch it up and go with the Princess of Cups and do a reading underneath the hood, of what's going on in my subconscious, in my emotional frame and things like that. So then what I do is the other two basically decks I don't need. So I'm only reading from this deck. And now the Princess of Cups will be the significator for this reading. So I guess if you're a water sign, right, this reading may have a benefit for you, or if you use the Princess of Cups as your personal significator, then this reading, I guess would also be for you as well. Now, the second card, a lot of people call this the challenge card. For me, it depends if it's a challenge card or not, based on whether it's well dignified or ill dignified. Since they're both water cards, I took the Hangman as being an influence instead of a challenge. Now, what I always do is I go through the cards really fast and put them down because I always laugh when people go, ooh, every time a card flips. So there, I threw down the card above it, which is the best that can be achieved. I know different people do this differently, but the best that can be achieved is the world, the world, the universe, which is a great card. Below that's the foundation or short-term goal of it all, and I drew the Queen of Swords, which so I would consider as the foundation. Then I threw down. I know a lot of people do past and future here, but I do asset and opportunity. So the asset card is the Lovers, and then the opportunity card is the Ten of Cups. So a lot of water here, right? Like well dignified. Now I know it's off camera. I'm gonna switch it over in like a second or two. How I view the situation is the seventh card, and I have the Wheel of Fortune there. And then after that is like timing or environment, which I drew the Two of Swords. You'll be able to see it in a moment. And then what's the ultimate goal here is the card I just threw down. And I drew the Seven of Wands for my ultimate goal. And then the last card, number 10, is what's a detail of all of this that's going to take place that when I look back on how this reading materializes in my life, like what's a detail that's going to stand out from the whole thing. And I drew the Three of Cups there. Now, one thing to notice, like in this method of reading, because I'm using a Golden Dawn deck, I try and read along their methodology. So instead of having reverses or low polarity cards, I read them based on the elemental dignities. Like if the elements building up together work well. And you could see since it's a reading about my subconscious, there's a lot of positive dignities across the board, and I thought this was a really interesting reading. So I'll go into it. My hands are going to be moving, talking about probably something entirely different. But we have the influence card above my significator card. Now the significator is the Princess of Cups, right? So it's a card of emotional action. Or something in the subconscious that's changing, it's developing. Or a lot of people read it as a message or a messenger, right? So again, but it's having to do with this subconscious, emotional, astral energy. Now, the influence card over it is the Hanged Man. So that's what's influencing this subconscious, like emotional movement. And the Hanged Man, like, so maybe it's that I'm seeing things from a different perspective, you know, from a more enlightened perspective, um, that I'm receiving this message from. Now above it is the best that can be achieved card, right? And I drew the universe or the world. I don't even remember which one it is in this deck, and I can't really see it on the screen. So what's the best that can be achieved of this message or this movement? It's, wholeness and completion. And, you know, the astrological significance of the card is Saturn, right? So you can see on the card, it's all the zodiac symbols. So it's Saturn going through the zodiac. And Saturn is the planet of restrictive energy. And I know a lot of people think of Saturn and the restrictive energy as being only a negative thing, but it's such a mandatory thing. Like the reason molecules are together is Saturn energy, and the reason that you don't have vomit coming up all the time is a restriction. It's Saturn energy. So you have Saturn traveling through the entire zodiac and ending its rotation, where maybe that restrictive energy is at the end of it's went through all 12 signs, and and something comes next. So that's in the best that can be achieved, is like this the end of the restrictive energy, the final outcome. Below that, I have the Queen of Swords. And this card, the way I read, is the foundation or the short-term goal. Since it's the Queen of Swords, I would read it as the foundation of where is this coming from, right? Queens are water and air. So again, there's strong dignity there between the other water cards in the middle. So queens, I read them as like they have plans. They're cards of nurture. And nurture is kind of like having a teleological plan for something, right? You nurture a puppy because you want it to be a healthy dog. And so nurture, I always think of the queens as like planners. And she's a sword. So this is a nurturing of the mind, or like a whole, fully formed idea, one step away from complete knowledge, right? But it's a nurturing of the mind. To the left, like I said, I know a lot of people do past and future. I do assets to the left. So what's an asset that I have of this change that's going to take place? And I drew the Lovers. Now, we can look at this two different ways. Obviously, we can look at this as an asset that I have is going to be a lover or a past lover or something like that will directly influence the situation. Alchemically, we can look at it as the Lovers, the facing each other bare naked with the higher self above them, right? So maybe an asset that I have will be or is my ability to bear myself, not hide and clothe myself in anything, but deal with things very openly and honestly with that mediating force, above them. So that looks like the asset. Now the opportunity card, I drew the Ten of Cups. Now this is the first like non-major arcana numbered card here. So again, there's a couple ways we can go with this. The opportunity could be something having to do with an immense feeling of joy or well-being, right? So that could be something I should watch out for. Astrologically, the Ten of Cups, we have Mars in Pisces. So Pisces, more water energy, so strong. So everything about this reading to me it's a very positive reading. Everything's well dignified, a lot of water energy, but this is Mars in Pisces, right? So that Mars energy is action. It's get it done. It's make it so. It's grabbing something and doing it. It's that kind of fiery energy. And Pisces is a really interesting water sign. It's a deep commitment. It's an emotional energy that's like willing to sacrifice, right? So it's that mystery energy, that yeah, like mysterious calling energy that you bond to. So there's a deep commitment and willing to sacrifice there. So Mars, the energy of getting it done, and what is Mars getting done? Like this commitment, this deep commitment. So that opportunity could be that there's going to be an opportunity for me to take action on something that I hold very valuable inside, right? Another way is we can just take, the fact that it's a Pisces, right? So if there is a like energetic Pisces, that may be my opportunity. I should watch out for that. Pisces is also the tarot card for Pisces is the moon. So again, a lot of this subconscious water energy. Now the seventh card over there, the Wheel of Fortune. When I read for someone or myself, I read that as how the person views this situation at this time. What are they viewing right now that would turn into this Princess of Cups? And I drew the Wheel of Fortune. So that one's pretty straightforward, right? It's Jupiter energy. It's good fortune. It's like a stroke of luck. So maybe something right now that I feel very fortunate about or lucky. And it's funny, but like there's a lot of that going on for me right now. So that's how I'm viewing this right now. The number 8 card, timing or environment. Since it's the Two of Swords, it could really go either way. And like anytime I see twos, I think of a decision or a choice that's going to need to be made or that has been made. Since it's a timing card, I think it's going to be a choice that I'm going to have to make. It's swords, right? So it's going to be an intellectual decision. It's going to be something that I'm going to have to reason. Two of Swords, though, is, again, it's the moon, right? It's the moon in Libra. The astrological significance in this deck, I don't know if it's in all decks, but in a lot of the decks that I read, it's the moon in Libra. So, again, well dignified, right? A lot of subconscious energy going on here. And then you have Libra, right? Like Libra is a like seeking harmony. It's a relationship-based energy. So the timing and environment, it could be both, right? It can be a relationship. It could a harmonious relationship that pops up and that allows me to make a choice or convinces me to make a rational choice and go in that direction. The 9th card, how I read it is what's the ultimate goal here, right? So what is the best that can be achieved is the universe, right? But what's the ultimate goal here? Like what am I wanting out of this? I guess when it's taking place. And I drew the 7 of Wands. So anytime I read the 7 of Wands, I always think of the Rider-Waite Smith. I don't know which Waite Smith, Waite Rider. I don't know what people are calling it now. I feel like it changes every couple of years. But when Pixie Drew illustrated that card, it's the person standing on the top of the hill and fighting back other wands, right? And so I always envision that of like defending the high ground, like you're in your higher self mode and you're fighting back the lower self. And 7s, I always kind of read them as like experience or confidence. And so like it makes sense there, right? Like what is the lower confidence stuff? I mean, what is the lower self stuff that we fight back against? Like self-doubt, right? Greed. And this makes sense since even though it's a fire card, but this is a reading about the subconscious and the emotional. So I would see it that way. It's, you know, it's fighting back against, my ultimate goal is obviously to have confidence win out, right? And not have self-doubt or greed or any of the lower self manifested energies. Now this card's also Mars, right? Just like the 10 of Cups, we have Mars and Leo here. And that's a wild energy to me. I mean, if I if I had to like think about myself, I would consider myself like a Venus and Virgo energy. Normally, I'm a real estate broker, and it's my job to charm and be really empathetic and pick up on signals really fast. I think I have that Venus energy, and I'm a Virgo, and I'm very Virgo. So this is Mars and Leo energy, which to me is almost the other end of the polarity, right? So wholeness again, right? If you're a Venus and Virgo, having that Mars and Leo energy, like it would be something that would be a goal. That makes sense to me. And then finally 10, I know a lot of people read this as the outcome. I'll be honest, it never works for me that way. I never, anytime I've read this, done this reading, and I try and use the 10, I try and use the 10th card as an outcome, it just never seems to materialize. I go back into my journal and I go, oh, really? But what I have noticed is it's a very significant card in my experience. So I've learned to consider it a detail card. Like, what is the detail? When I look back on this situation, as this cycle plays itself out and I move on to the next cups reading, what is the detail that I'll look back on that makes this significant, or I'll realize that was kind of a turning point, and it's the 3 of Cups. So this is going to be something I do with others, right? Threes are a growing energy. They're creative, and again, I'll go right to the Pixies illustration in her deck. And it's the 3 fates coming together and raising a toast. So this is going to be something, the detail is that I did it with others, and I think that makes a lot of sense when you look back at the rest of the reading. Like, the timing and environment is Libra. Libra's in there, right? The 2 of Swords. So harmony and relationship. And when I look back to the opportunity, so what's the opportunity that will kick this off? And it's the 10 of Cups, and that's a lot of cups, right? That's a lot of joy. And usually your joy doesn't come from things, it comes from people. And so like that would imply people as well. And then I take one more step back into the asset, right? And the asset is the Lovers, which obviously is not a singular card. So, that's how I would read this, and I hope you enjoyed it.